Well, it is another Fast Break Friday from the Press Box on the Right Team Podcast, and I'm David Weaver, host of the podcast and owner of Right Team Services, and I'm joined once again by my friend and podcast partner on From the Press Box, Brother Matt Paul, who is still enjoying a bit of spring break up in Little Rock, Arkansas. Matt, how's the family enjoying the vacation?
We're doing well. Most of us are up in Fayetteville right now. I'm kind of hanging out, with my dad, helping out with him in Little Rock, but everybody seems to be doing well, having fun, and the family up in Fayetteville is going to the Arkansas-Mississippi State SEC opener today, number 3 versus number 5. So they're pretty excited.
And you're there with your dad in Little Rock. You guys will watch it on TV, I guess.
Or the Arkansas basketball game tonight. We've got
there you go.
So yeah,
there you go. Well, I'm gonna tell you back home. I am looking forward to spring break. Hallsville doesn't go on spring break until next week, and so today is the last day of school before that. Got off my bus route this morning and counting down the hours until me and the kids get separated for a few days. So, but then we have Good Friday coming up in a couple of weeks, 3-day Easter weekend. And then after that, it's the marathon of all marathons in the school business. 6.5 weeks of 0 breaks where you got state testing, field trips, field days. Man, I'm going to tell you, if you ever wonder why teachers need a summer off, come ride on my school bus for a few days or visit a classroom over the last 2 months of the school year, and it will have you dragging. I promise you that. So I'm counting down here for a few days to myself here. We're going to do things a little bit differently here today on what I have dubbed Fast Break Friday from the Press Box. I kind of threw it out last week, and it sounded pretty good to me. Just shaking it up a little bit here for Friday. Be honest, I'm not sure what we'll call it once basketball season's over, but we're just going to throw all kinds of different stuff together here, not necessarily have segments as we normally do. Just kind of go all over the map, man, fast break style. And again, I don't know, Matt, if this is a test of fate, starting something like this on Friday the 13th of all days, but we're going to attempt it. We're going to run the break here today on the Right Team Podcast. So let's get rolling, partner, with your daily update of championship week and how it's affecting back row bracketology with Selection Sunday just 2 weeks away. 2 days away, I should say.
Yeah. The two things to watch most significantly, we talked about bid thieves yesterday morning, and then we immediately got one as Miami of Ohio lost. And what is the committee going to do with Miami of Ohio? I mean, I think they're in. I think they're still even safely in, maybe as one of those last buys. I could see them maybe being one of the last 4. If they don't get in, I still think you set a really, really dangerous precedent of here's the deal. I know you play 32, 33, 34 games, but if you have one hiccup, you're out. I don't like that. I think that's a dangerous precedent, but whoever wins the MAC tournament now is going to be in, I think, along with Miami of Ohio, which means some spot is gone now. There's a couple other conferences to watch, the Atlantic 10, the Mountain West. And then you look at the SEC where Ole Miss, Chris Beard, what are you doing, man? This is crazy. They'll go against Alabama today after beating Georgia last night. And then the fastest riser on the bubble, I know you'll love to hear this, but it's the Oklahoma Sooners. They just destroyed Texas A&M last night. And so my boys will try to do our best to put your mind at ease about that tonight. But if Oklahoma beats Arkansas tonight, Oklahoma's probably bumping somebody out of that bracket.
They won't beat Arkansas. I'm laying that out there on Friday the 13th here.
Okay, good. Nothing can go wrong with that. The only, as we look at the top teams, the big mover was Iowa State. They are just blowing through the Big 12 tournament right now. Now, I don't know that they'll do that with Arizona tonight, but I've got them leapfrogging Michigan State, of course, who hasn't even played yet. That could change, but I've got Iowa State moving up to a 2, Michigan State down to a 3. There were some some rough losses last night, like Georgia, Villanova losing to Georgetown. So we'll see how that kind of shakes it out. And I have, if you look at the S curve, you may notice there's some different shading. If you're kind of a lighter shade of blue or a lighter shade of orange, you had both wins and losses this week, and I just shaded it based on if your win was more valuable or if your loss was a little more damaging. And then just for fun, I thought you'd appreciate, I added a hot pink one for Utah Valley that says possibly ineligible, but situation fixed.
Yeah. You're about to run out of colors here.
Yeah, but I haven't put a new bracket out. I've just updated the S curve. But it's going to be another really interesting day. But the thing to watch, I think, especially, look, I know we've got our listeners would primarily be Texas people, so Longhorn fans, A&M fans. I think A&M is safe despite getting just destroyed by Oklahoma last night. Maybe a little cause for concern, but I think they're safe. Texas is still looking good. What Texas needs to avoid is something like Oklahoma beating Arkansas. They need to avoid the Atlantic 10 being won by someone other than St. Louis or VCU. That would steal a spot. And then in the Mountain West, you really need Utah State to win that thing because they're in danger of getting another bid there. If Utah State doesn't, they're down to the semifinals. So I think on the chopping block right now, I think if any of those things happen before it gets to Texas, I think SMU is probably in the most precarious situation. They are the one that I think is if any one of those things happen, I think they're in trouble. If multiple starts happening, you look at VCU, did they lose early in the Atlantic 10? That could, I think, bump them out. And then teams like, if more than that happens, then teams like Missouri and Texas start sweating a little bit, I think.
Yeah, if Texas is bumped out of this thing ultimately by Oklahoma slipping in, we're not going to talk college sports anymore on this podcast. I can't deal with that. But then again, in all seriousness, the Horns have kind of put themselves in this position by not being able to beat, Ole Miss in a tournament setting, and I really think Sean Miller, of course he wants to make the tournament, but I really think he's ready to get out on the recruiting trail and bring in a whole new team, basically.
Yeah,
the way it is now, and I can't blame him. They're not playing well down the stretch. And, thankfully they did kind of build a resume prior to the last couple of weeks, but man, they've been awful. They've been awful here at crunch time.
Yeah.
I can't argue if they get bumped out, but I do like that you do have them here somewhat still comfortably in at number 11. But that is right on the bubble for sure.
Also I'm not on the committee, so.
Yeah. And, yeah, you're not on the committee, but I do trust your methodology, and it gives me some hope for sure. Good stuff there. And again, just reminding everyone, of course, the official selection Sunday is coming up this Sunday at 5:00. It'll be on ESPN. And on Monday's show, Matt and I will actually break that, or I will allow him mainly to break that down as he sees it, and we'll just kind of compare a little bit to what he has on his bracket currently through his methodology and see just how close he gets to that. But again, I'm going to hold him to having the Horns in the tournament at 11 seed or 16. I don't care. Just get them in somehow.
Well, and I'll be sure to at least to send to you, and you can do whatever you want with it, but you will have my bracket before it's ever picked.
Yes.
Before the selection Sunday ever happens. I just know we don't do a podcast on a Sunday, so I know it's.
Yeah, I will say this. I did see Lenardi come out yesterday, and he had Texas actually as one of the first four in as far as playing in the play-in. So again, and I did not necessarily want to hear that per se, but it is what it is. It
is
interesting to see again, how all of that shakes out on Sunday. The women's bracket also will be coming out as well, of course. And so we'll have all kinds of tournament action. This time next week, Matt, we'll be playing NCAA tournament games.
I know.
Being very exciting.
Yep.
Let's give you an update here of what's been going on down in the NJCAA national, or actually Region 14 basketball tournament, which has been taking place down in Baytown from our local junior colleges. Men's update on Thursday, they played their quarterfinals. A couple of upsets here. One of really a major upset. The other one's kind of could go either way. But number one, Trinity Valley cruised to a 92-67 win over Paris. This is on the men's side. In the 4 versus 5 matchup, Panola, the 5th seed, actually had a very impressive win over number 4 Blinn, 69-51. Big upset came in number 2 versus number 7, when number 7 seed Lee College, which is the host team for the tournament, that has a lot to do with this, I'm sure. Took a 85-79 win over number 2 Kilgore College, and so the Rangers are out of the tournament. And then in the late game last night, number 3 Tyler took down number 6 Angelina, and so the number 3 Apaches have advanced to the semifinals today, which will be played starting with the Trinity Valley versus Panola at 6 o'clock, followed by Tyler versus Lee at 8 o'clock, with their championship scheduled to be played on Saturday at 4 o'clock. So Panola and Tyler still alive in the tournament. On the women's side, they did not play yesterday. Their semifinals take place today, with number 1 Trinity taking on number 5 Panola at 1 o'clock. And that'll be followed by a really regional matchup here between number 2 Kilgore and number 3 Tyler. That game tips off at 3 p.m. on the women's side. So another full day of basketball going on the junior college ranks down in Baytown today, with the women first and the men going after that. So 4 games to take in. Yeah, that'd be basketball heaven down there, Matt.
It really stinks for Kilgore. You're the 2 seed. You got to open up with the home team. That's kind of rough on the boys' side, but you still got to take care of business, and so Lee did it. Still with Panola, Kilgore, Tyler, either men or women or both left. I think that ought to be good stuff.
Tyler may be looking at that as well tonight. Again, they get that. You're the entire seed, probably sitting on the home bench, and you're facing the home team. So
yeah,
that's kind of a weird deal, of course. But anyway, that's your junior college update here on Fast Break Friday. Did want to mention again, at least around here, the high school basketball season is done. As last night we had 2 teams, St. Augustine, Martins Mill, going in the state championship game. Didn't go our way, Matt.
Yeah,
got any of it, but. St. Augustine, man, what a game against Panhandle.
Really
Panhandle comes away with that in their very first appearance in the state tournament with a 61-58 win. They won this one with a 17-8 run in the first quarter. That's really where the game won. And St. Augustine battled back in the second, third quarters, really, and then just couldn't finish the deal down the stretch. But anyway, they go down 61-58 to the Panthers. In the 2A.
Yeah, I kept up with that a little bit, and it just seemed like a game that could have gone either way the whole way, it felt like.
Yeah. Again, just kind of got off to a bad start and couldn't really play the kind of game I think that they wanted to, which was get out front and just run and control the score. And so anyway, St. Augustine comes up 1 game short of the state championship. On the other one, did you see the 2A D2 score? Again, this was kind of a clash of the Titans, a rematch of last year's national state championship final, which was won by Martins Mill. Lipan playing in their 4th consecutive state final game, and they built a 20-8 lead by halftime over Martins Mill. And the Mill came back with a 15-5 run in the third quarter to really send this one into the fourth quarter up for grabs.
Yeah.
And eased away with a 22-11 run in the fourth quarter to come away with a 47-34 win. Very entertaining game down there, but again, Martins Mill comes up just short in their attempt to defend their state championship.
Boy, Lipan's tough. I mean, they just are what they are. That's tough, but it seemed like until the last few minutes, really good game.
Very, very entertaining game to watch. And again, there's still 2 more full days of activity going on down at the UIL Boys State Tournament again as they get into the bigger divisions, taking place today and tomorrow. And but anyway, that will wrap up the high school basketball season in Texas. And it really doesn't seem like it took very long, Matt. I mean, here we are in mid-March, and we're already talking about now moving off full-time into baseball season.
Yeah, when you can get 2 games in a week, it helps you get through those tournaments a lot quicker.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball and softball, several big games taking place around our area, and I know you have some stake in the game, so to speak, with some of these. We'll start on the baseball side. This is all in 10-5A that we're going to highlight here today. But a big one taking place tonight over here in Hallsville as Mount Pleasant, which is 2-0 in district play, comes to Hallsville to take on a Bobcat team that lost their district opener at Texas High on Tuesday, 5-3 up there in Texarkana. So the Bobcats trying to stave off going 0-2 in district play. But anyway, that's a big one going on over here at Bobcat Ballpark here in Hallsville at 7 o'clock tonight. Lufkin, which is 1-0 in district, will be at Whitehouse tonight, which is the district lead, tied for the district lead. They are 2-0 in the early going of the district slate. They play at 7 o'clock tonight there in Whitehouse. Texas High, again, we have some games Saturday this week with Texas High coming on the road. The Tigers are 2-0, and then they're going to play the Mount Pleasant Tigers in Mount Pleasant, which is also 2-0. So that's a 2 o'clock first pitch on Saturday there in Mount Pleasant. And then the big one here in Harrison County with Hallsville going over to Marshall. The Mavs are 0-2 going into this weekend's action in district play. Right there on the cusp, however, Matt, I believe, of winning some of those games and just hadn't been able to break through. But that game starts on Saturday there at Maverick Field at 2 o'clock in Marshall.
Yeah, and Marshall's got Tyler out at Mike Carter Field the night before on Friday, so it's one of those 3-game weeks for some of these teams. And but yeah, it's Marshall Hallsville. We've talked about that before. You could pretty much put those 2 teams playing any game, sport, competition of any sort, and it would be entertaining to watch. And so that'll be Saturday. I believe baseball's at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it's an intriguing couple of days here in the district. Again, just speaking from a Hallsville perspective, one of the prohibitive favorites probably in the district annually, and they're taking on a tough Mount Pleasant team tonight. That's almost a must-win game for them. If you can call a mid-March second district game for Hallsville a must-win, they do not want to be 0-2 going to Marshall tomorrow. Where anything can happen. So anyway, that is a big game going on over here tonight in my neck of the woods here in the Hallsville. Slipping over to the softball, there were some games actually played on Thursday, but in 10-5A, of course, Lufkin played at Whitehouse. This was a matchup of undefeated district leaders, and well, there was really no matchup whatsoever as Whitehouse came away with a 10-0 run rule win over Lufkin. Wow. So they have improved to 5-0 in district play. Lufkin falls to 3-1. Now games taking place tonight. A big one going on again here in Hallsville, Mount Pleasant, which is 1-2 in district. So looking to kind of hang around up there in the playoff chase. Comes to play the number 7 Hallsville Lady Cats, which are 2-0, and right there trying to hang with Whitehouse here in the early part of the district slate. With of course Hallsville ranked number 7 in the state this week. The Lady Cats will follow that up on Saturday with a quick trip over to Marshall, which the Lady Mavs on a little bit of a winning streak, Matt. They've evened their district mark to 2-2, and they will be hosting Hallsville tomorrow at 1 o'clock there at Marshall High School. That's, again, a big rivalry game, but really pretty important in the district standings.
Yeah, another big one. Marshall has been right there. I think we've talked about it some. Lost to Lufkin 4-3. Giving up 2 unearned runs in the last inning, could have closed that one out, and then lost to Whitehouse 3-1, both of those on the road. Boy, Marshall's got a freshman pitcher, Mintz, that has just been lights out in the circle. I'll tell you what, I mean, Marshall's got, don't get me wrong, they've got some good seniors on that team. There's no doubt about it, but they have several freshmen and sophomores and some pretty good 8th graders coming up. Marshall's going to be a player in this for a bit. I'm curious to see. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Coach Kelly Fay is retiring at the end of the year, and so that's going to be, I think, a pretty appealing job for somebody to know that there's that many young people on the team. So I'm going to be curious to see who they end up hiring there. But I know he would love to go out with a winner and get Marshall in the playoffs, and that's a big one to take that step Saturday against Hallsville.
Yeah, that'll be a prime job, I think, because of what you said, but also, again, the facility there is and one of the best in East Texas, not the best, with all the work they've done to it over the last few years. And they'll be hosting a big one tomorrow. Those Lady Cats coming in over there, just as good as advertised. State rankings. So the only other game really of note in the district also being played tomorrow, you got two teams at 1 and 2 trying again to kind of keep pace in the district standings, but Texas High and Mount Pleasant will meet in Mount Pleasant tomorrow in a game that starts at 1:30. Both of those teams, Texas High actually 14-5 overall in the year. They've gotten off to a slow start in district play at 1 and 2. But that'll be taking place tomorrow. So lots of action going on around our area, particularly in 10-5A, where you've got some really, really titanic matchups going on.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep going on Fast Break Friday here when we gonna kind of give an update here of the World Baseball Classic, rather. And again, Matt, I was all prepared to get this off our script here. Had the USA not made this, I mean, it was just going to be not really much interest here, but for us to talk about. But again, Second Life with Team USA actually now advancing to the knockout round where they will play, of course, their friends from Canada. Really in another high-profile sports matchup, really the second one in the last month or so, right?
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see how all of that goes down. Just some things, just again, to kind of remind everyone of the schedule. We are down to the final 8. Schedule has Korea playing the Dominican Republic tonight at 5:30. That game will be actually broadcast on FS1, taking place in Miami. And then, of course, down in Houston at Dakin Park. I keep wanting to call it Minute Maid, but it is Dakin Park. But, of course, that's where the USA and Canada will start at 7 o'clock. That'll be on the main Fox channel. So on prime time on the main channel. And then tomorrow, the other round of quarterfinals will have Puerto Rico against Italy, which is maybe the hottest team in the tournament right now, kind of a sleeper. That takes place tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock in Houston. And then the other game in Miami will be Venezuela versus Japan. That'll be an entertaining game to watch for sure. So those are your 8 teams remaining in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, Matt, but Jack Hughes, of course, the Olympic hero, gave a little pep talk to the baseball club. They're kind of, again, reminding everyone what's at stake when it comes to USA versus Canada and what is becoming more than just it's kind of becoming a national rivalry for a lot of reasons. But it was kind of interesting there that the hockey team reached out, the hero of the hockey team reached out and hopefully has injected some more life into a Team USA, man, that has a lot to prove. Prove this weekend for sure. And
I think the most to prove is the coach at this point. Like I feel like you've really got to kind of you've got to make a run at least to the finals to kind of probably shed whatever stink is hanging over you after looking like you didn't really know what was going on heading into that Italy game.
He is doing major damage control. I don't know if you saw his comments yesterday, but he just kind of keeps digging the hole deeper. And I've got an old story that I like to share, and it kind of keeps me grounded sometimes. If you're digging a hole for yourself, the best thing to do is drop the shovel, dude, and just quit digging. And he will not stop doing that. Here was his comment yesterday on MLB Network, and I pulled this off of ESPN. Here's what he said. It was just an overly confident statement on the hot stove, period. The end. It's my fault. I felt good about where we were after Mexico. Now we have a new lease on life for the boys. Certainly, I put ourselves in a tough spot. Tip of our hat to Vinny Pasquantino in Italy. Truly went into that game a little overly confident. Got a huge wake-up call. He's trying to spin it now as saying he knew what the tiebreakers were and everything like that. He just felt ultimately confident that it wouldn't come down to that they would beat Italy, and it, of course, didn't go that. So, but, I mean, he just kind of keeps digging the hole deeper and dude, drop your shovel, man.
I don't know that sounds that much better. So yeah.
You know, sometimes the best thing to say is not say anything. It's all PR. But anyway, we'll see what happens between USA and Canada this evening. Not quite sure. Actually, Logan Webb is pitching for the U.S. tonight, which he of course started game 1 last Friday night. We'll see if he can actually stretch out a little bit more. But he wasn't really that dominant against Brazil last week, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares against Canada. Main thing is got to go out there and score some runs with the lineup they got. I mean, if they don't score runs, it doesn't matter who's pitching.
For sure.
So we got SGA versus Will. I did not actually see the final box score, but I know you would know this. Did he actually get the record last night?
He did. Boy, heck of a game with the Celtics. I think the Thunder nailed 2 free throws with like a second to go, and the Celtics missed a buzzer beater 3, and Thunder won by 2. So it was a really good game. And yes, he did break the record.
So he's 20 for 127 and counting, coming out of last night's game. This is a story that was on ESPN.com yesterday, written by Zach Cram. Just some very interesting facts here I wanted to share and go over. I love this quote that SGA has said, I think a while back, but he said this: "My whole life is consistent, everything I do," which is actually good for anyone, particularly a guy in his station of life. Just do everything the same way every day. Right. And that's usually a recipe for success. But here's some facts here that I didn't know going into last night. But in the 21st century, Kevin Durant is the only other player to get more than halfway to Wilt Chamberlain's record. KD had a 72 gamer that started in his last season in Oklahoma City and ended early when he went to the Warriors. Next on that list in the 21st century is Kobe Bryant, who reached 63. That was exactly halfway to Wilt's 126. That took place from December 05, November 2006. So to get to where he's at, I mean, there's no one currently playing that is anywhere close to him right now. It's one of those records that may stand for a while, to be honest. The current next longest active streak right now belongs to Kawhi Leonard at 42 games. Who knows if Kawhi will ever play 60 more games in the NBA.
Yeah.
And currently Joel Embiid, who is injured, he's third right now in the active streak with 24 games. And so
he definitely will not play that many more games.
Yeah. And I didn't know this. And again, I don't follow the NBA again because the Mavs are so terrible. I just kind of go in the closet when it's NBA season right now and just wait for the lottery. But SGA is on pace to average 30-plus points per game for the 4th straight season. The only other players in NBA history to do this are Chamberlain, who did it for 7 straight years. Michael Jordan did it for 7. Oscar Robertson for 4. And Adrian Dantley did it for 4. But the only players to do that for 4 straight years and actually win a championship are Gilgeous-Alexander and MJ. Yeah. That's some elite company he's in right now. Third Oklahoma.
Very elite, very elite. I mean, that's just.
What's the best part about his game, in your opinion?
There's so many things he does well, but he's very in control, very heady player. I mean, people joke and call him a free throw merchant, and I do think he gets some calls. You look at his breakdown, and I think about a quarter of his points come from the foul line, but a lot of that is just knowing how to get there. Scorers and know how. Sometimes the ball's not falling, and the best way to get in the flow is to see a shot fall. Well, how are you going to see a shot fall? Go get to the foul line. Go get to the foul line. You'll get to see a shot fall. It kind of resets everything. He's really, really good at that. But I don't want to just say that as you're not the best. Right now, it's a great debate between him and Jokic as to who the best player in the NBA is. You're not in the conversation for best player in the NBA because you can get the foul line. You do a whole lot more than that. He is, fairly sizable. I mean, he's 6'6". He uses that frame well, has an excellent mid-range game, can easily knock down a 3. Last night he goes for 35 with 9 assists. I mean, he just really He really is versatile and does it all, and that's why they're the defending champs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, he's in some elite company, and he's a young guy, and so I mean, he may end up rewriting all the record books before it's said and done for sure. But anyway, congratulations to him for. I mean, it's something when you look on a stat sheet and you're above Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
So he was able to accomplish that last night for the Thunder. Okay, step aside Dallas, talking about the Cowboys here. And I had a historic rant yesterday, which actually got us some traffic when I posted
Probably.
it. But yeah, I should probably. Well, you can go back on pretty much every other episode of our podcast since August, and I've kind of done it before. But I will. Hey, I will give credit. They did. I don't know if you saw this overnight. They did sign Kobe Durant, who is a very serviceable NFL cornerback. Played for the Rams. He's not Deion Sanders by any means, but they did get him in, and so they've got some coverage now at cornerback that makes me feel a little bit better. Still looking for the linebacker. Right now, we really have one linebacker on our team. I don't know if there's ever been a team that's been successful with one linebacker, basically. But anyway, if you listened to our show yesterday, I was pretty hard on Jerry and the Cowboys. But, man, step aside. You are not the worst front office in football. That distinction goes to the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if anybody's been following this outside of Atlanta. I don't know that the Falcons have many fans outside of Georgia, but here. Okay, their 2025 first-round draft pick, James Pierce, the defensive end, was charged, of course, now with 3 felonies on Thursday.
Yeah,
has something to do with a domestic incident with his girlfriend, WNBA player Ricky Jackson. And so he actually got charged with that yesterday. And one of the charges was actually dropped. So he was looking at 4 charges, but he got charged with 3 felonies. And so that's your first rounder from 2025. Of course, their number 8 pick in the 2024 draft, quarterback Michael Penix, is recovering from his second ACL surgery on his second knee that he underwent last fall. Depending on who you listen to, he is going to be ready to maybe return to the football field late in training camp, early part of next year. And we all know how that goes after an ACL surgery. It takes you a while to get back into the swing of things. And so there's your 2024 first rounder. They did release quarterback Kirk Cousins on Wednesday, who they had signed prior to drafting Michael Penix at quarterback to a $180 million deal in 24 that lasted 2 years. So Kirk Cousins is back on the market for anyone out there looking for a mid to late 30-year-old quarterback who can't throw it 5 yards now. And then on top of all of that, Matt, earlier this week, who did they sign to play what? Quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa was signed this week to Atlanta to compete with a one-legged Michael Penix for the quarterback job. And by the way, they still owe Cousins $10 million this year to not play for him. What a mess!
That is an absolute mess. Jeez.
Yeah. As long as Atlanta is in the league, Dallas will have some cushion at the bottom in terms of front office and the way they do business. So,
there you go.
Atlanta is way worse at football than you.
You got that going for you now.
Positive today, being very positive. We had a signing that I agree with, and they're not the worst as they were yesterday in my mind. Staying in Dallas, let's something we hadn't talked about much this year, Matt, but the Dallas Stars, they are the shooting stars. I'm just going to put it out there, man. When you take everything into account, they're the best professional sports franchise in DFW right now by far.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I know the Rangers won, of course, the World Series, thankfully, in 2023, but they have not sniffed it since. I won't talk about their front office right now, but
one rant per week, right? One
rant per week. That's all I got in me here at my age. Of course, the Stars, of course, hosted Edmonton, a big rivalry there at the AAC last night. Came away with a 7-2 victory. I watched the first couple of periods of that game, and I mean, it was men among boys. I mean, Dallas jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Edmonton kind of cut it to 5-2 there, but kind of by the end of the second period, and then third period, Dallas just put it away. This is crazy to me, but they've played 14 games since the Olympic break, and the Stars are 13-0-1.
Man.
They have one overtime loss, which is the one there on their ledger. That was in a shootout with Colorado, in which they had about 4 starters out that night, and they took Colorado, which is arguably right now the best team in the conference. They're a few games ahead of Dallas still, but it took them into a shootout that night to lose that game. But they're 13-0-1 since 13-0-1 in the 14 games since the Olympics. They were going into last night. They were on a 13-game point streak, earning at least 1 point in each game. I don't know a whole lot about hockey, but it's all about earning those points in the standings. And they've been able to do that in 13 straight, or now 14 straight games. On the team, they had 6 players who actually won medals at the Olympics. Now that tells me you had a lot of players from your team obviously competing in the Olympics. Jake Ottinger, who is the goalie, of course, he was on Team USA. He won the gold medal. Thomas Harley played for Canada, so he won the silver. And then the Finland Mafia, Miro Heiskanen, Rupi Hintz, Asa Lindell, and Mikko Rantanen, of course, won the bronze medal. And it's crazy that they've been doing this because Rantanen, who is arguably their best player or their most recognizable player, hasn't played since the Olympics because he was hurt in the Olympics. And injured, so he hasn't even played during this streak. So they haven't really arguably had one of, if not their best players during this. If you don't know a whole lot about hockey, now's the time to watch it because of everything that's taken place since the Olympics. Go check out the Dallas Stars, man. I mean, again, if you're a DFW sports fan, they're the best thing going right now, and it's not really even close.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it.
Do you watch hockey at all?
It's got to get to a certain point. It's got to get to a certain point. Right now, we're not at that point. Now, Olympic hockey,
maybe the NBA. I don't watch it until the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it has less to do with hockey and more to do with what's going on around it. Basketball's always been my favorite. It's always running concurrent with basketball. So that if all hockey ever competed with was baseball, I'd probably watch more hockey. Not more than baseball, but I would watch more than I watch now.
Well, you can tell how desperate I am for a winner because my backdrop today, of course, is the AAC with decked out for hockey. It's not a basketball court. And so, anyway, wanted to give a little bit of a homage to the Stars today. As well. You know, again, I keep thinking that hockey's going to kind of break out here, but I think they're in a tough spot. And you kind of mentioned it there with the way they play their season. I mean, they compete with basketball, which is far more popular in this country. And then they get hit with the start of baseball season going into the summer, similar to the NBA. But the NBA has, and really college basketball, has a little bit, I think, more traction to go against baseball, particularly now than hockey does. But it just don't really seem to break out much unless you're actually in one of these cities that has a franchise. So,
for sure.
But anyway, I do watch them occasionally, and I did watch them last night. A, because I knew we were talking about them this morning, and B, kind of exciting to watch. So anyway, that's your Fast Break Friday lineup that we had for you today. You know, just kind of, again, running it fast and talking about a bunch of different things and giving us a lot of options on the break. So did want to include our back page segment here, as always. Matt, lead us off here with something you've got for our back page today.
Give you just an update on ETBU softball because they're playing out in Florida. I don't know if you saw this on Wednesday. They nearly lost 2 games on Wednesday. They split 1-1, but they were playing Carthage College, which has nothing to do with our Carthage. But they were down 4-2 in the bottom of the 7th, and freshman Piper Morton hit a walk-off 3-run bomb. How's that for your freshman year highlight? To give them a 5-4 win. They played Mount Union and lost 2-0 in the second game on Wednesday. They're back at it today. I'm keeping up with it right now against a pretty good team, Swarthmore, who's receiving votes in the poll. and the Tigers are up 1-0 in the 7th inning. Swarthmore coming to bat in the top of the 7th. So if Avery Holland can shut it down, that'll be a good win to start the day for the Tigers. I think they've got 2 games today and 2 games tomorrow. I don't know. Are you familiar with Marshall Christian Academy over there on Washington?
Yes.
So they have some pretty good basketball athletes, and have some travel teams that they put together and for competitions and whatnot. But they have a young man named Joseph Allen who I've actually played with some. In fact, he and his brother are both very good basketball players. We've done pickup games with them, and the first rule is just the brothers have to be on opposite teams, and then we pick the games from there. Joseph is just uber athletic, can shoot, can kind of one of those guys you think you put a quarter on top of the backboard, he might be able to grab it, and I want to be careful about how I say this. There's an NCCA, a National Christian Collegiate Athletic Association. He played for Spurgeon College this past season and was named the National Player of the Year for the NCCAA. Averaged 20 points and 11 boards, or over 20 points. He has led Spurgeon College the last couple years to some really great seasons, but just a really, really high character young man, and really, really good basketball player. But I just thought that was pretty cool that a Marshall area kid was named to the NCCAA National Player of the Year. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the NCCAA. When I first went to work at ETBU as SID back in 2000, they were still going through the transition period into Division III, which made them ineligible for the NCAA playoffs in all of their sports. And so the programs were still competing in the NCCAA national playoffs. So we did that for a couple years, I think 1 year for sure, when I first got there. But yeah, very, 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 very familiar with that organization. And that is quite an accomplishment, especially from a local kid for sure.
Yeah. My only other thing, what are we doing, Big 12? A glass floor for the conference tournament? And did you see the news that came out this morning that they're going back to a wood floor?
Yes.
I mean, Texas Tech lost their best player. I mean, I think he's going to be okay. Other players have complained about slipping. I don't know what part of this. I get the whole graphics you're able to put on it, and it looks really cool, but I feel like there's no way you could have been unaware that slippage was potential, which means you were like, we get that it's possible, but this looks cool, so we're going to do it. Anyway, I had that chosen as my back page to start with this morning or last night. And then this morning I wake up and find out that they've already moved off of it. So good for the Big 12. They finally figured out what the rest of us already knew. But anyway.
Yeah. One could really understand what it would be like playing basketball on glass.
Yeah.
And it'd be slippery. Right? How could that happen? Look, yeah. I texted you last night as I was watching Houston and BYU. What a game that was! If you want to take basketball back about 30 years, I mean, it was a physical street fight, as I said in our text, I think. But that's the way Houston plays. But it was very hard watching the action because of everything that was going on beneath their feet.
Yeah,
particularly the free throw line. I mean, you make a free throw line, it's like a pinball machine where it lights up. That was very distracting to me at watching it. I don't know. I can only assume based on this. Again, they're saying it was slippery and it's a safety thing, but it has to be distracting with all the light show going on underneath your feet. I don't know. I don't know what you would expect though from someone who is your commissioner who previously worked at Rock Nation, right?
Yeah.
Not really been a big Brett Yarmark fan from the beginning for a lot of reasons. But this one here was an epic fail in my opinion. Okay, well that was one of the items I actually had on mine. So good work, partner. You stole my show there, but I do have some backups for sure. Did want to mention here and give a shout out to the Stephen F. Austin Lady Jacks who clinched the conference championship yesterday with a win over McNeese. So SFA ladies will be going to March Madness next week. They secured their spot in the tournament. So congratulations to them. Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard. Remember Dwight Howard? He last played his last NBA game on April the 8th of 2022 for the Lakers. Then he's disappeared until yesterday when it came out. He announced his official retirement. So for 4 years, apparently he has not been technically retired, even though I haven't heard his name. I thought he was retired. He's actually in the Hall of Fame now. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, but he officially has retired as of yesterday.
Pretty sure he was playing in Taiwan or somewhere over there.
Pretty
sure he was still playing.
He was, but it's kind of odd. I didn't even know he was in the Hall of Fame. I didn't know he was inducted. It shows you how I follow the NBA, particularly their off seasons. But I remember when he was the it factor. In the game, right?
He was one of the best dunk contests I've seen. He was good.
Well, he was talk about a physical player, and he'd throw up 20 rebound nights and give you 15 to 20 points a game. I mean, he was all of that. And he was one of those players, even though he was doing that, you felt like he still had a little bit more left to prove. And he just, I don't know, he just never reached what the expectations were, at least in my mind. There was always more there that I thought he could have got to. But anyway, he did announce his retirement yesterday officially. And I kind of mentioned this in an earlier podcast. I just wanted to make note of it again today. Of course, it's been official. Tony Dungy will not be with NBC Sunday Night Football any longer. He was made that official yesterday. And I don't know if you read Coach Dungy's statement. I won't read all of it here, but it was a very classy exit that he made with his final statement that he put out on Twitter. And of course, being a man of faith, that's really what he focused on. He says, God has always directed me in these moments. And while I'm not sure what the next step will be for me, whether it will be in football broadcasting or getting more involved in church and community outreach, I know God has plans for my life, and I can't wait to see them unfold. So a classy move there by Tony Dungy. Not quite sure everything that went on behind the scenes with that. But it won't be the same watching NBC Sunday Night Football without him, for sure.
Definitely.
And then one more thing here I wanted to bring up while I've got it. Again, this guy on Twitter, CF Budge, puts these things out. I don't know if this is just his rankings or if he has some sort of methodology to this, but it's pretty interesting. But he has put out a list of the top 10 college football teams due to improve in 2026. Kind of wanted to get your take on some of this. Number 1, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean,
it can't get much worse.
You win 3 games, that's a dramatic improvement. So sure.
The second one on his list is Virginia Tech. I could see that one coming with James Franklin.
That would have been my number 1.
Yeah, and then number 3 on the list is LSU, which is kind of interesting that they actually aren't above Vatech and Oklahoma State as far as Lane Kiffin. Is he saying that even though Lane Kiffin is recognized as the second best coach in the SEC, that James Franklin and Eric Morris are better?
No, I think he's saying LSU won like 9 games last year, so it's a lot.
They would have to get him to technically improve.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to be a significant improvement at those other 2 schools than it is at LSU.
Yeah, rounding out the top 10 here, you got Maryland at number 4, USC at number 5. I don't know what makes you think USC is going to take a step forward that they haven't done already under Lincoln Riley. What's he going to be able to do differently that he hasn't done yet? But anyway, number 6 is Temple. Number 7, Tennessee. 8 is the Florida Gators. Number 9 is California. And then number 10 is Wisconsin. Noticeably absent from this list are your Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah. Well, we continue to sign up for the toughest schedule in the country and put the worst product out there. So it's not really a good formula for a successful season.
Moving on now to On This Date in Sports History as we get ready to close out today's Fast Break Friday on the Right Team podcast. Matt, did you know that on March the 13th of 1901, the city of San Francisco took a major step in the fight against corruption in sports and public entertainment They passed an ordinance that banned gambling on horse racing, targeting the widespread betting that had become tied to organized crime and political influence. This move reflected a growing national push during the progressive era to clean up gambling and restore integrity to public events. And I wanted to mention that this morning because you and I have debated in the past on the podcast some of the things that are wrong with sports in America today. And we've actually, there's no corruption going on, right?
Right.
That's not going on today, is it?
It's at least minimal, surely, right?
Yeah. There's widespread betting going on that doesn't create corruption everywhere, right? It's all harmless. But anyway, over 125 years ago, San Francisco, of all places, decided they had enough of it. So they banned that, and then the local horse track closed down two days later. All their business was gone. So, but anyway, big time birthdays today. We want to remember on this date, 1964, former Major League star Will Clark, Will the Thrill, was born in New Orleans. He became one of baseball's most feared hitters during his career with the San Francisco Giants, later the Texas Rangers. Trivia time, Matt. You know where he played college ball?
Mississippi State.
There you go. Six-time All-Star and Gold Glove first baseman. Clark helped power the Giants to the 1989 National League pennant and remains one of the most respected hitters of his era. Man, he had a sweet swing. But the Thrill turned 62 today. I have a personal story with Will Clark. So when I was at the Marshall News Messenger, I always tried to get in a date in the Rangers opening series at home there at the old ballpark. And I went the day after the opener. They were playing the White Sox. And on opening day, the White Sox came in there and beat the Rangers like 15 to something. I mean, it was a blowout. And so the game I went and covered was the second game. And the Rangers returned the favor, and it was like 18-2 or something like that. And so we go into the locker room after where you get to talk to all the players. And, of course, there was a gaggle of folks, which I was part of, around Clark's locker. And, somebody asked him what was the difference between yesterday and today. And he said, well, that's just baseball. He said, yesterday they beat us up pretty good, and today we had a whip-em-up game today. So, that was just kind of the way he looked at it. And but anyway, he was quite the intense player, man. I loved watching him play when he was on my team.
I'll tell you what, my most formative years in baseball, you had three lefties. Him, Mark Grace at the Cubs, and Ken Griffey Jr. The swings from, just watching those guys swing, it could just be like practice swings. And it was like, that's what I want to be right there. I remember that.
No one ever accused Will Clark juicing it.
No,
he was a natural, the natural. I mean, it's kind of also one of his nicknames for sure. Just a great swing from the left side.
Now, his teammate at Mississippi State, Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah, that's a different story. That's a different story. He had a sweet swing too, but he goes from hitting 8 to 9 home runs a year to 39 to 45. That's a different.
And then stands in front and says, "Listen, I never."
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that happens in front of microphones for a lot of folks.
Yep.
It's not true. But on this date, also in 1972, Super Bowl winning quarterback Trent Dilfer was born in Santa Cruz, California. Dilfer played 14 years in the NFL and is best remembered for leading the Baltimore Ravens to victory in Super Bowl 35 in 2000. He was a former first-round pick for another trivia time here.
Ooh, who drafted him?
Jeopardy music playing in the background, but
Tampa Bay. I was going to say Buccaneers. I remember him being with the Buccaneers, but I couldn't say for sure. But I thought Dilfer was best known for the guy that when you find out he won a Super Bowl, you're like, really, him?
Yeah, that's a trivia question too.
Yeah,
he might be the worst starting quarterback to ever have won a Super Bowl. But you remember that defense? The defense was pretty legit. Led by Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and those guys.
Ed Reed.
I think he turns 54 today. He's younger than I am. It's hard to believe. He just got fired as a college coach after this past season there at UAB. So he's looking for a job right now. But anyway, Trent Dilfer is 54 years old today. And finally, on this date in 2021, the boxing world lost a legend with the passing of Marvin Hagler, known to fans as Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
Marvin Hagler, he was the former undisputed middleweight champion who dominated that division from 1980 to 1987. He finished his career with a remarkable 62 wins, including 52 by knockout. Marvelous Marvin was 66 years old at the time of his death, and he is remembered, of course, as one of the toughest and most identifiable champions in boxing history. So on this date, we lost Marvelous Marvin Hagler 5 years ago.
Yep.
Wasn't really a big boxing guy back in the day, but I do know who Marvelous Marvin Hagler was.
Same here. Yeah, I didn't really follow it, but that's a name you know.
Marvelous Marvin and Sugar Ray, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah.
Final word of the day comes from 2 John 1:6. It says, "This is love, that we walk according to his commands. This is the command as you have heard it from the beginning, that you walk in love." Folks, remember today that true love and obedience go hand in hand. When we follow God's ways, we are living out the kind of love that he wants and calls us to, which is real, true love. Well, he's Matt. I'm David, and thanks once again for listening out there in East Texas and beyond. Matt and I will be back on Monday from the press box. We're going to have a big Monday with Selection Sunday coming up. That might be all we talk about, to be honest. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast by liking us wherever you download your favorite podcasts, and also on our video channel on YouTube. That helps us out more than you know, and we certainly appreciate it. Everybody out there, have a great weekend. And as always, while you're doing it, keep writing your story.
This episode of the Right Team Podcast is also brought to you by Styles Electric of East Texas. For over 25 years, Styles Electric has been providing reliable, professional electrical installation and repair service all throughout East Texas and beyond. Whether it is a small residential issue or a major commercial project, Styles Electric provides you with the same professional service they've built their reputation on. Contact Styles today at 903-236-2536 for all of your electrical service needs. That's Styles Electric. Reliable, professional, and experienced.
Connecting students to their passion and equipping them for their purpose. East Texas Baptist University is a Christ-centered institution committed to challenging and encouraging each student in mind, body, and spirit. With over 45 undergraduate programs and 14 master's degrees, ETBU's educational experience enables you to discover your purpose, find your path, and pursue your calling. Join the Tiger family today. It's not too late. Apply today at etbu.edu/apply.
Did you know that someone somewhere is talking about you? Yes, your school district, your business, your church, your nonprofit group is always the subject of a conversation somewhere. Maybe it's Facebook gossip, maybe it's talk around the water cooler, maybe it's written in a newspaper or a blog somewhere. At Right Team Services, we work with you to manage that conversation more effectively, to give all of your stakeholders an opportunity to hear your message. We help you create a culture of transparency in your organization that makes your customers and stakeholders feel comfortable as part of the story, and as a result, will help your business or school district become a more effective, trusted member of your community. Contact me today at rightteamservices@gmail.com to learn more about how Right Team can help you tell your story.